From a young age, I've always called myself weird. Not in a negative way, but more of in a positive way. I kind of developed this definition for myself to comfort myself in a way, to make myself feel like I'm special, like I'm unique, like being weird is something that was good, even if majority of the times I felt like it wasn't. For as long as I can remember, I have always just felt a bit odd and a bit out of the ordinary, a bit like I didn't belong, a bit like I was just odd. And now when I look back is when I realize that this feeling has always been with me all my life. It's just that the way I see the feeling has changed with time. I always remember looking for any opportunity to call myself weird. I think I still do actually, but it used to be so dominant when I was young because I used to notice just how different I am from other people. And as a result, it used to make me also look for the weird bits in other people and silently celebrate them in my head. I would always watch and see how other people act. I'd always notice how when they do certain things, other people shun them. Other people call them weird, but in a negative way. And from where I was standing, I would silently applaud them for just being weird. And so from a young age, I've always learned to embrace being weird. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. My name is Lily, and this is Drowning in My Coffee Cup. Today, I kind of took a nap before I came to film, and most times when I take a nap, I can either wake up so charged and motivated and capable of doing so many different things on my to-do list and getting stuff done, or I can wake up feeling enlightened, filled with new solutions for things I had problems in, filled with ideas, filled with creativity. Other times, I unfortunately wake up asking myself why I even took a nap, an afternoon nap in the first place. And today is a lucky day because today is one of those days when I slept and woke up feeling inspired to talk about something. All the weird bits of me are actually the glue of my existence. I read that somewhere. I don't know where I read it, but I usually have a notebook where I write down anything that strikes me, any line that I read somewhere, any lyric from a song that kind of strikes me. I just write it down there. And as I was going through that notebook, I saw that line and I felt so resonant with it in this moment. Because as I've already explained, all my life I have always been weird. I've always had so many parts of me that are unconventional, that are not normal, that are not what you'd usually see in the world. And I think for many years in my childhood, I used to be embarrassed by that fact. And I used to try and hide those weird parts. But when I noticed that it was hard to hide them and I was not succeeding in hiding them, I learned to embrace my weird and I learned to call myself weird and to actually find moments to just say, oh, I'm so weird. I came to actually like the word so much that I would just find opportunities to just say, I'm so weird. I'm so weird. And most times when I'd say, I'm so weird, someone would say, that's not a bad thing. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Weird is a good thing. Weird is good. And I used to say that because I actually meant it. I had grown to love being weird and to see being weird as a good thing. And so even when I connected with other people, I'd always try and find the weird bits of them to connect with. I'd always seek out that unconventional part in everyone else. It's really so sad when I see someone expressing themselves authentically and doing the weird thing, do the weird thing, doing the weird thing, and people actually shun them or come against them. People put them down for it, and you come to see how someone slowly learns to shut down the weird parts of them. Someone learns to shut down those parts of them which are actually what make them. It's very sad. And now that I think about it, there's so many instances in the past I have seen where this has happened, whether in primary school or in high school or even just outside of school. I've seen so many times people being made to shut down the weird bits of them because they are not common and they're not usual, and in that case they're not acceptable. And it's so sad because even when you think about the word weird begs comparison. You cannot just say something is weird. For something to be weird, it has to be compared to something else. Because to aliens, humans are weird. I'm not saying aliens are real. I don't know if they're real, but if they're real, we are weird to them because we are unusual. We're not like them. So the word weird itself begs comparison. And I think the first thing you need to ask yourself is comparison to what? When you call yourself weird, when you call someone else weird, what are you comparing them to? Are you comparing them to society? Are you comparing them to peers? Are you comparing them to other people their age? I've always also kind of felt out of tune with people my age. I don't know why. I've always felt like I am too mature for my age. And it's been so weird because when I was younger, I would feel a bit too mature for my age mentally, that is in how I think. And when I get older, the older I get, the more I find people like me. So I guess this feeling of feeling too mature for my age is slowly going down. Because previously, when I'd call myself weird, one of the things was comparison to other people and seeing how they are one way and I am a different way and we are the same age. And I just conclude that I am just weird. So when you call yourself weird or when you call someone else weird, it begs comparison. Comparison to what? That is the big question. Who are you comparing yourself to when you call yourself weird? Calling yourself weird, of course, is not a bad thing, but let's just understand, where it comes from. By the end of this episode, I actually hope that you will see weirdness as something that you love and something that you can embrace more than you do right now. Anyways, as I was saying, when you call yourself weird, what are you comparing yourself to? Who are you comparing yourself to? And is it worth the comparison? I think in general, all human beings are weird because if you compare all human beings, you'll find that everyone just has their own set of unconventional habits, their own set of personal quirks and social anxieties that only make sense to them. Everyone just has this map of their own eccentric ways that they live their lives, such that there's no way to say that no human being is weird. Every other human being is weird. It's just that the degree of weirdness kind of differs in people. So what are you really comparing yourself to? As I've said, I personally used to compare myself to other people my age, especially. And I think that is probably a topic for another day. The fact that people of the same age are so different. I don't think it's worth or it's accurate to compare people of the same age and say that they should be similar in certain things. They should be similar in maybe ways of thinking, in ways of dressing, in ways of living their lives. There's usually this almost a blueprint for how to live your life in your 20s, how to live your life in your 30s. And it's like age is what defines how we're supposed to live life, which is kind of odd because I personally, my ways of living just don't align with any of those. And anytime I found myself trying to conform to living based on my age, I just never felt happy. I never felt fully myself. I used to feel watered down and I used to feel less me and more stereotypical, So that's another topic that we should probably talk about. But back to today's topic. What makes you weird? I want this topic for today to kind of invite a lot of introspection and to invite you to think about your own self and your own personality and who you are. What is it that you consider weird in you? What are your personal quirks? Like, what things do you alone say? What things do you alone do? What things are unique to you? And how do you treat them? What's your relationship with them? How do you feel about them? Do you shun them? Do you feel embarrassed by them? Do you even express them in the first place? It's a really important question because the older I get, the more I realize that these parts of ourselves matter way more than we think they do. the older I get, the more I realize that I actually love the weird things I do. Let me give you a few examples of some of the weird things I do. I know some of these might be common. You might find that you yourself also do this, but it's fine, we might both do them, but we do them in a bit of a different way. One of the weird things I do, or one of my weird personal quirks, is that I love mismatched ceramics. And I mean this with all my heart. I love ceramics that are so different and so unique, so quirky, that ceramics that look weird and that are weird, whether it's a cup. There's once I saw this cup which was actually in the shape of yarn, and it looked like yarn, and it was so beautiful. So I love mismatched cups, and there's this place in town which usually has a lot of ceramics and vintage crockery. And I love to spend my time in such shops. I even remember recently telling my friend, I am going to stop entering these shops because they always see me entering and I never buy anything. So at some point it becomes weird because I'm just always entering and admiring things and picking things and saying, this is so beautiful. And then I just put them down and I leave because I have a bank account to keep stable. I cannot break my bank account every time. It's only once in a while that I actually buy something from there. And that's when I actually cannot leave it behind. But I just love to see mismatched ceramics. And I remember talking with my mom the other day, because all the time I keep on, once in a while, buying my own ceramics and coming back home with them. And she used to wonder why I love mismatched ceramics. And she was like, why do you like cups which are not different? Personally, for me, if I'm getting a cup, I have to get a whole set. I love things to be in order. I like to see them color-coded and, matching. I want to see some sense of order, and I don't want an individual cup that's different from the rest, you see? And I was like, now I am quite the opposite because I do not want a set of things. I want different things. I want mismatched plates and I want mismatched cups and I want everything to be unique in its own way. And when she mentioned that, that is when I actually noticed that it's a weird quirk and it's a personal quirk. Initially, I thought she would be one of those people who would actually love having mismatched ceramics. And that is one of the things that I like. I like to see also ceramics which are imperfect and they're very weirdly crafted. For example, if it's something that was made using clay and it was, molded using the hands, I like to see that it has that rough edge and it's still kind of wavy in a way. I love to see that. And one day I would actually love to go for a pottery class and make such ceramics for myself, such pieces. I love to see that. Another thing about me is I love quirky drawings. I love really odd and eccentric drawings. People with big eyes and tiny noses, or maybe a really big nose and tiny eyes and a big face and, different eccentric proportions to their facial structures. I love going on Pinterest and just getting to save a lot of those random quirky drawings. I feel like they're so expressive and I'm just drawn to them. I cannot even explain why I love these things. I just know I love them, And that's kind of one of the ways you can know your weird bits, your quirks. You don't really know why you love them. You just love them. Something else is I love people who are a little odd and a little eccentric. And most times everyone is a little odd and a little eccentric. It's just that they don't notice it. And because I've become so conscious of this facet of me, I also become very conscious of it in other people. So when I interact with people, I easily spot the parts of them that are weird and eccentric, and I spot them very fast, and I love them. These parts of them, people may not even know the weird parts of them, but if I interact with them. I know those parts of them which are a little odd. They are a little unconventional because I'm usually looking for them unconsciously. I just find myself, that is something that I easily spot in other people. Another thing about me is I love writing, and specifically in mathematic books, in maths books, like squared books. I love writing in squared books. I feel like it the way the lines are spaced, I don't waste as much space because I actually have a really small handwriting. So I don't usually see the point in having really huge spaces between lines. So anytime I can, I'll buy a math book to write in if I feel the need to. I love to write in math books. Another thing that's weird about me, but I love, is sitting in silence. Oh my God, people find this so weird, and I know people find silence a bit awkward, but I love it. I love sitting in silence with people, whether I know you or whether I don't. I love to just sit and feel the silence seated with us in the room. And most times when that happens, I'm just usually excited on the inside. And the other person or the other people are so fast to break the silence that it's never a long moment. It's always like short-lived. I'm always so ready to settle into the silence and just sit there. But people are so not used to sitting in awkward silence. Everyone is always trying to break it. And it's like, oh my God, it was just beginning to settle and you had to break it, you know? I love that. I love sitting in awkward silence. I'd really not mind calling someone for us to just sit in the silence together, you know, something like that. And I feel like people never let silence sit. People are always busy chasing away silence, not just in social settings, but also in their own personal lives, which can be a topic for another day. Another weird bit about me is that I am just really introspective. Okay, I am just really introspective. And this is one of the facets of me that I have had a hard time accepting because it's been there for a while now. Like I've not just, turned 20 or turned 18 and suddenly I was introspective. No, I have been introspective for a while. I can remember even when I was 15, I was kind of introspective. I've always been introspective. It's just that most of the times I used to express it through drawing and through art rather than through words and through speaking. Because I'd find that most people were not introspective. So speaking about my thoughts, like thoughts that are kind of profound, was something that never really sit well because there was no one who would receive them in the right way. And that's something, you learn to shun the weird bits of you when no one around you receives them and when you consider them to be unacceptable. So my introspection is something that I've come to realize is a big facet of me. It's a big part of what makes me me. And it's something that I have really hidden away for majority of my life. I've always felt like it did not deserve to be had. And majorly because I'm usually a quiet person, right? I'm not someone who is always talking. I can talk. This podcast is is proof that I can talk. I can talk, yes. But I am not drawn to always constantly talking and talking and talking. No, I'm not. And that's okay. But I usually find that when it comes to specific topics, I can talk forever. Like I can talk and find it hard to stop talking. And that's where my introspection comes in. It makes me more social, but social only on specific topics and on specific things and on specific ways of thinking. And from a very young age, I never really embraced this part of me because whenever I'd give my introspection a chance to live, it would never be received nicely, It'll just be like, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. Don't think about it too much. Or something like, hey, yo, umefikiriaje? That means, how did you even think of that? But not in like a nice way. So I'd always learned to keep my thoughts to myself, to put them in art. That's why I guess at some point when I was 15, 16, my art was very eccentric. It was very eccentric because it was very expressive. It was expressing things that I could not put in words because I was never allowed, quote unquote, allowed to. And yeah, that is one of the things about me. My introspection, however, has always been with me. And I think the older I've gotten up to where I am right now, I've gotten more comfortable at expressing it. I've gotten more comfortable at letting this side of myself live to the point where I have allowed it to be part of me. And I've realized it's part of me and I cannot change it. And it's only a matter of letting the right people connect with that. It's my introspection that led me to create a podcast. It's my introspection that led me to create videos on TikTok. And it's my introspection that is continuously fueling me. So this kind of ties back to when I say the weird bits of me are actually the glue of my existence. So many things in my life have risen from the fact that I am introspective. So many connections that I've made in life are because of being introspective, meaningful connections, connections which I love. It's because of being introspective and allowing that side of me to be seen. I think it's easy for people to say that they love deep conversations and they love all that, but people don't actually love that. As I've come to realize, people don't actually love deep conversations as much, mostly because they cannot contribute to the deep conversations much, or they don't really understand the deep conversations as much. I feel like deep conversations is one of those things which are aestheticized. They're made to sound aesthetic. But when you actually cannot handle them, it's something you don't really enjoy. Because I think so many people love to say that they love deep conversations. They love to say that. It's even become like one of those cliche qualities in people. Those cliche qualities that people think make them sound so elevated. And when they say, I love deep conversations, it's like, damn, clock that. He or she loves deep conversations. But the reality of deep conversations is they actually leave you feeling so, it can be so inspired. They can actually leave you with so many questions. They are kind of messy in a way, but that's the beauty of them. The older I've gotten, the more I've gotten comfortable with expressing my introspection. And I have noticed, of course, that some people do not receive it nicely. And when I notice that, I realize it's not my fault or their fault. It's just that they don't align with that side of me, and that's okay. And I no longer shun myself for that. I no longer try and hide my introspection because of that. I, of course, do not show this side to every person because that's not necessary. It's not necessary. I assure you, you do not need to do that. I will only let it flow to whoever it wants to flow to. Like if I feel like sharing something introspective with you, I will share it. And based on how you receive it, it will determine whether or not I ever share something introspective with you. Maybe in a way, we need to guard the weird bits of us because they are so special. They're so special. They are important to us. And so whoever doesn't receive a weird facet or a weird side of you, right, guard that side from them. Like keep that side to yourself and from them. Do not express that side to them if they're not receiving it nicely. Because you might end up feeling like you are the problem when in reality, you are not and they are not. It's just that you are not connecting on that side of you. You're not connecting through that bit of you. So learn to guard your weirdness. Learn to realize that your weirdness, firstly, is something special. It's a gift. It's something that keeps you, you. And then guard it. Guard it from people who do not appreciate it, who do not connect with it, and realize it's not their fault. Because it's likely that you have also not connected with a weird side of someone. And that's okay, because if you were connecting with every other person's weird side, there would be nothing like weird. We'd just all be the same. But your weird bits are meant to connect with some people's weird bits, and they are not meant to connect with some people's. So just let yourself be weird. Guard yourself from letting other people make you dim your weirdness, okay? Because I realized that most times you only feel weird because you haven't found people like you. The more I expressed my weird sides, the more I expressed, for example, my introspectiveness, the less weird I felt, because I would actually connect with people and people would say, you're speaking my thoughts out loud. Or someone would say something like, I see so much of myself in you. And at first I found that so weird because I always knew in my head, I'm the one unrelatable human being. I'm the one human being who is not relatable to anyone else. I am just completely weird and in my own world. And I don't really connect with people in a way that they can say, I see so much of myself in you. And so at first, actually, when I got such comments, I was like, oh my God, am I no longer unique? Am I no longer weird? But I just realized that I am still weird and unique. It's just that I am meeting people like me and it's making me feel a sense of community. It's making me feel like I am not an outcast, quote unquote, an outcast. And the more you express your weird self, the more you feel like you're less weird. And that's also a good thing because you're not really less weird. It's just that there are more people like you who connect with those parts of you. So, what are the weird parts of you? I mean, I want to know, what are the weird parts of you which you find hard to express? Maybe because of societal pressures, comparison, your peers, maybe you're in friend groups or you're in friendships which don't allow you to express these sides of you. What are they? Start thinking about them and start trying to figure them out. Some of the ways you can identify them are like looking at the following things, for example, things that people comment on about you. It can be in a positive way, it can be in a negative way, they can be saying it's something strange about you, but something that people point out about you. Because most times you find these weird bits of us are kind of noticeable. They're kind of noticeable. It's not a must that someone has noticed it, but they're kind of noticeable. You can also look at the things that you naturally do that other people find difficult. Like personally, I find it so easy and so natural for me to articulate my thoughts into words and to say them in a way that I am thinking them. And that's something that most people I've come to realize actually find difficult to do. So it's something that you find natural, something that comes so easily to you. It can be puns. You can be so good at saying puns. I have to say this, I personally admire people who can roll out a pun so fast, or people who are so good at dry jokes, people who are just witty, because I feel like I am the most unwitty person there ever could exist. I kind of process jokes slowly. And weirdly, I've come to also embrace that because whenever a joke is said and it's a witty joke and people have gotten it, and I'm still, I'm still in the loading process, we're um still loading. I kind of enjoy that because I know when the joke lands, I'll be like, oh, of course, now I get it. And it's going to be kind of delayed, but still fun to hear the joke. So if you find yourself that, for example, you are someone so witty, you're someone who can roll out a pun very fast, like so fast that people don't even notice a pun has been rolled out. Sometimes you even roll out puns and people don't even notice and you're just in on the joke by yourself. You can find that this is a part of you that you start to hide because it's like no one is appreciating it. And I get it. But it's something so unique. And I personally love to meet such people because it's so interesting to be around them. I feel like though we don't usually connect as much because I am a bit slow at processing the jokes, but I find it so interesting to meet such people. And it's usually so sad when you see people shunning them and being like, unabo sasa, like not in a funny way, in a we love you way, but in a you're actually boring way. You're actually boring and you should stop doing that, you see? So what are those things about you that you naturally do that other people find difficult? It can be even something like putting together colors. It can be so many different things. Like the spectrum is so wide. And I feel like this is where it gets interesting because you get a chance to observe yourself and you get a chance to, look at your life and see where you have such qualities. You get a chance to even just observe how you do things on a daily basis and see the weird parts of you shining out of your daily life. So maybe in this week or today, as you go about your day, as you go about your life, try and notice those things about you that are not common. You're the only one who can naturally do them so easily, and other people find it kind of difficult to. There's something my sister does that all of us find really hard. She's very good at finding things. Like, I don't know how to explain that. Okay, I don't know how to explain that. She has a knack for finding things. Whenever anything is lost, you just call upon her and she will find it. And I feel like the more we have encouraged that quality in her, because honestly, I don't like looking for things once they're lost. So I always just call upon her whenever I can. And the more we've encouraged her, the more she has grown confident in that ability. And it might sound like something small, but it's something so important. And I find that it's so necessary in my life to have someone who can easily find things, because I tend to easily lose things. So also that's another point. Like, those things about you can be things that you think are so irrelevant. Things that, for example, a friend of mine has this, and I won't mention her name, but I will mention her quirk. She's someone who has a really detailed memory, and she can remember things with precision. And such things you might think they're not really important or relevant, but they are in some way. Maybe you might not even have realized it at this point, but you will come to. For now, just take some time and notice these bits about you. Another way to spot these weird bits of you is they feel like a relief when you stop hiding them. And I think this doesn't, of course, apply to all the weird bits of you, but to specific ones, especially those that involve you sharing them with other people. So they involve being either accepted or rejected by other people. These weird bits of you feel like a relief when you stop hiding them and you stop pretending you don't have them. When you allow yourself to set them free, when you just allow yourself to be the way that you are. Something that I have found myself leaning into of late is the fact that I am just the way that I am. And I think so for so long in my life, I have always tried to fit myself into a mold, to be like other people, to fit into a standard, to be like people my age, to act normal, to act normal, to be normal, to think normally, to speak normally, to live normally. But I've found that it's exhausting, and it's not the way that I want to live my life, and it's not the way that I naturally am. When I stopped trying and just let myself be the way that I am, to let yourself be the way that you are, you can see it comes with two aspects. The first one is exhaustion. Exhaustion from trying to be someone you're not, obviously. Exhaustion from trying to fit into a mold that is not your shape. Exhaustion from trying to please people who are not being pleased. The second bit is acceptance of the way you are. Accepting that you just are the way you are, and it's okay to just be the way that you are, I find it so sad when I see people trying to fit the general consensus, trying to forget who they are and be like the majority. It's so sad because who told us that the majority is right? There's always that sense of community that you feel from being like everyone else. But at the same time, if you have to water yourself down to be like everyone else, then it's not really even worth it. It's not worth anything. It's not worth even the community. It's not worth the acceptance. As long as you're watered down and you're not living as who you are, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I think one way to look at this is stop seeing yourself as yourself. Just imagine whoever you are. For example, let's just take me for an example. Lily, I am Lily. I should stop seeing myself as Lily and see myself as someone who's been given the role to live as Lily and to live the life of Lily. So my only duty in this body and this life of Lily is to live like Lily and to allow Lily to be seen. So when I take it as that, it's a job. It's not that I am Lily. I am just supposed to be Lily. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't think that makes any sense, actually. But just take it as if it's your responsibility to express the life that you've been put in. Because our souls are not our bodies. And your soul can be in another different body. And if your soul is in that other body, you'd kind of have to live the life of that body. So think of it like that. Your soul is in, for example, my soul is in Lily's body. My work is to express the attributes of Lily, to express Lily as she is, and to allow her to live life. Lily as a body gets to live her life through having a soul. So this soul is the life in the body. So the work of this soul is to just allow Lily to experience life as herself. When you start seeing yourself from that point of view, I think it can be easier to allow yourself to just be, because you realize that you're not really in control of how you are. Some things about who you are, you can be in control of, but majority of the times it's usually like a written manual and you're not in control of it. And for you to live your best life, you just have to let yourself be the way that you are, just let yourself be that way. Of course, it will be hard. There'll be rejection. There'll be people wondering why you are the way you are. There'll be people even talking bad about you. But it's worth it because you get to actually experience a life that's yours. And something else is that expressing your weirdness or the weird sides of you just makes other people feel less alone. Just by being yourself, imagine, you make other people feel okay to also be themselves. How many times have you seen someone in public just expressing themselves in full honesty and without fear? And it's made you feel a little more confident in your step, and it made you feel a little more confident to be quirky, feel a little more capable of expressing yourself. It's so funny because everything that we do has an effect on other people. And we're just human beings who learn from the environment, who are affected constantly by the environment. And so if you can be that person in someone else's life who's fully themselves, you will inspire them. Maybe this can help you even just step out of your head so much and allow yourself to express your weirdness, because by just being yourself and expressing your weirdness, you get to give other people the permission to do the same thing. You get to comfort other people and show them that they are not alone, and show them that it's okay to be like that. And it's literally just fine. No one is going to criticize them. No one is going to condemn them. No one is going to shun them for being that way. You can show them that you are in it together. You even show yourself that you weren't weird in the first place. You were just misaligned. You were just in the wrong place. You were just with the wrong people. You were just trying to connect with people who could not connect with you. So allow yourself to express your weird parts. Allow yourself to be weird. And those parts of you that you feel like, oh, I'm not supposed to be this way. I'm not supposed to do this. I'm not supposed to act like this. I'm supposed to live my life this way. I'm not supposed to want this. All those things you tell yourself you're not supposed to. Just allow yourself to do them. I've realized that majority of life is allowing yourself, because most times no one is holding a gun to your head telling you to do certain things. It's actually you telling yourself you have to do them, when really you don't. You are seated inside a cage and you're holding the key to the cage and you're calling yourself a prisoner. How ironic is that, right? Majority of life is about setting yourself free to be yourself, setting yourself free to explore your own life on your own terms. Majority of life is breaking the rules that you have set for yourself based on what you have learned from your environment, breaking the rules that you keep yourself accountable to. Life is so much internal, and life is such a you versus you battle. It's so surprising. It's so ironic. It's kind of paradoxical. But life is majorly a you versus you battle. It's a battle of you setting yourself free from what you hold yourself prisoner to. It's you allowing yourself to break free from patterns. It's you allowing yourself to be weird, even if you've learned your whole life that weird is not acceptable. It's you allowing yourself to follow your dreams, follow whatever you want to pursue in life, regardless of what you might tell yourself will happen when you do that. And so the older I get, the more I learn to design my life around these weird aspects of me, because that's how I feel more alive. That's how I feel like my life is actually mine. It's very easy to live a life that doesn't feel like it's yours. It's very easy to live life for other people. It's easy to follow the rules, not because they fit you, but because you feel like that's the only way you'll be lovable. We have been taught so much that to be loved, we have to be obedient, and to be loved, we have to follow the rules. But the older I get, the more I realize that it's not true. Because majority of the times, you follow the rules to be loved and you end up not loving yourself. You hide your weird parts to be accepted and you end up feeling unhappy within yourself. Remember that life is something that you will move through alone, and no one is going to move every single step of your life with you. Even when you get a partner, even when you have a family, they still don't get to experience every bit of your life with you. Your life is something that you have to do alone, and so does each of us. So remember that your opinion, your happiness matters first. In some cases, in cases where it is your happiness alone that's at stake, in cases where you find yourself feeling so unhappy within yourself, even if outside factors might suggest otherwise, like you might have community and you might have the friends you have, and you might feel like you finally fit in. Even if all that might be happening, if you are unhappy, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you're unhappy, then what is life? What is life if you're not joyful? What is life when all the days are just blurry and dark? Sometimes you need to get to a point where you are exhausted of trying, exhausted from trying to be a certain way, and just allow yourself to be the way that you naturally are. Because the universe only gets one of you. If you think about that, it's so weird that despite the millions and billions of people and trillions of people who have lived on this earth, the universe only gets one of you, like only one of you, just one of you. You can't say that, oh, it's fine, I can just live my life to fit societal expectations because another precious lily is going to come and she's going to live authentically and the universe will not have missed anything. No, because there's no other one who's going to come. There's no other you who's going to ever exist. And if you spend your life trying to hide the you that already is, then you're doing the universe and all of us a disservice, because those unique parts of you need to be seen and they deserve to be given a voice. I also need you to know that when you express your weirdness, it will not always come with acceptance. People will not always accept those parts, and they will not always celebrate those parts and tell you, oh my God, congratulations. We love these weird bits of you. Keep on showing them. They are awesome. You are awesome. You're so unique. No, and that's okay. People will not celebrate them. It's not a guarantee. You might find one or two people who celebrate those parts of you, and that's awesome. But at the core of it all, expressing the weird bits of you is something you are supposed to celebrate and not wait for other people to celebrate. So don't express the weird parts of you because you're waiting for someone to applaud them. Express them as you applaud yourself for it. Okay? Express yourself, applaud yourself, cheer yourself on as you go through life, fighting yourself, seeing yourself in the world. Oh my God, life is just so funny. The fact that it's just you versus you for yourself, you against yourself for yourself. And so I guess I am at a point where, just like the one who quoted this line, I don't know who they are. I really commend them for that. But I'm also at that point where I finally realized that all the weird bits of me are actually the glue of my existence. I hope as you go through your week, as you go through your days, you can try and figure out what are those bits of you that are a little odd, a little eccentric, that are a little unusual, and how do you treat them? What's your relationship with them? Do you find them disturbing? Do you find them shameful? And why? Something I have recently started doing is just accepting my emotions as they are. If I feel ashamed of a part of myself, of a side of myself, I just accept that I feel ashamed. And I actually say it out loud, and I'm like, yeah, I actually kind of feel ashamed about this, or I actually kind of feel like I don't want to accept this side of me. And I know most times we're used to never letting ourselves say such things, but when I say that, I just kind of stop the battle that's within my head, the constant push and pull back and forth. I stop it by just saying, yeah, it's fine. I feel ashamed about this part of me. And then from there, I work through it. I figure out why. Why do I feel ashamed of that part of me? Who made me feel like that? Why do I think that that person is worth me feeling ashamed of a certain side of me? And eventually, just being honest with myself about how I feel helps me get to accepting those bits of me that I don't initially accept. So even in yourself, just ask yourself, which sides of you are you not comfortable sharing with others, and why? Which sides of you do you find eccentric, odd, unusual, weird, and why? Why do you think they're weird? Who made you feel like that? It might take you down a whole memory trip. You might find yourself going back to your class 2 era and realizing it was that boy who did that to you, or it was that girl who said something. And you just find that you're reconciling the present and the past so that you can have a better future. You can be able to live better and to express yourself more. And yeah, I hope you find a lot of bits of yourself along the way. I am kind of done. I am kind of done speaking. I am also so grateful to just have this space. I don't know. That's why these talks, these little talks that we have here, they do so much for me than I initially realize. They do so much for me because whenever I begin talking about something, I don't really have very clear thoughts on it. I only have fragments and I'm trying to piece the fragments together. But speaking about my thoughts is how I make sense of them. And this gives me a space to do that. You know, I've designed my life around my weird nature, and it is making me realize more sides to myself. It's also making me connect with other people, which is awesome. Which is awesome. It's so awesome. Thank you for sitting with me for this session and for, musing a little with me. I'm going to see you next week when we're going to possibly discuss something else, something new, and figure out more about ourselves, about life, about this weird world that we live in, this weird floating rock that we live in a dark galaxy, in a very vast universe. I don't know the time. My laptop died down, so I can't even check the time. But I know that it's the 26th, I think. Is it the 26th or the 25th? I think it's the 25th. I don't know the time, so it's a lovely afternoon, and I am finishing filming this. I look forward to seeing you next time, same place. I love you so much, and I hope you are doing okay. I hope you are going through life, holding on, because, I feel like we need to remind each other that we're all doing life, because sometimes it's easy for someone to feel like life is just heavy on them alone. So if you're going through it, keep holding on, find a source of support, find some things to ground yourself, and just know that things will feel better. Eventually, a day will come when the heaviness within you will feel lighter. A day will come when the sun will shine again. And if you keep saying tomorrow will be better, eventually tomorrow will be better. From me to you, have a lovely rest of your day, evening, morning, night. Does someone even listen to these podcast episodes at night? Ooh, if you do, you are so awesome. Have a lovely rest of your day, night. Yeah, I'll see you soon. Goodbye.